This is lesson U1A06B. Hopefully by the end of the period you should be able to say I can solve angle relationships formed between parallel lines and transversal. And in particular we're going to be looking at the angles that are called consecutive interior and exterior angles. So just a quick recap from the previous lesson. We looked at again, a pair of parallel lines cut by a common line, which we're calling a transversal, and then as it turns out, there are all these different angles that are formed. There are all corresponding angles between the angles on the top half of the parallel line, okay, that are formed. They all will be correspondingly congruent to the bottom half of the parallel line cut by the transversal. And as it turns out, it's not just corresponding angles that are going to be the same, but also there are these angles called alternate interior and alternate exterior that are also congruent. And then on top of that, there are vertical angles that are also going to be congruent. So today in this lesson, we are going to be talking about angles that are called consecutive interior or consecutive exterior angles. So let's take a look, right? So yesterday, in the previous lesson, if you haven't noticed, we called this angle over here on this side here A, right? And as it turns out, A is also down here, which is called alternate exterior. So if you look at this, right, what do we notice? A is also corresponding with this angle over there. What do you notice about angles A and B? Well, they happen to be linear pairs. And we also recognize that linear pairs are supplementary. So if that's the case, angle A and angle B are going to be supplementary. However, because of the location of where A and B is in this diagram here, they happen to be on the same side of the transversal, and they happen to be outside of the parallel lines, then we call this situation, we call this consecutive exterior angles. Consecutive exterior angles, as it turns out, happens to be supplementary. Both angles A and B add up to 180 degrees. Alternatively, it is recognized that angles A and B will also be positioned on the interior of the parallel lines. And in this case then, angle A and angle B are going to be supplementary, and they happen to be inside, in between the two parallel lines. We refer to this as consecutive interior angles are supplementary. So both of these positions, both of these angle orientations, okay, we recognize them as consecutive interior or consecutive exterior. They happen to be on the same side of the transversal, which is why we refer to them as consecutive, meaning one following the other, okay, and they're not alternating. So all those angles mentioned, okay, they are going to be supplementary. Let's take a look at some applications of these two concepts. So in this problem, you're given line 1 and line 2. They're cut by a common transversal, line 3. And there are some angle relationships that are shown to you right now. You're told that there's an angle on the top half of the parallel line is 5x plus 20, and then on the bottom half is 40 minus x. So right now, are these alternate interior, alternate exterior, consecutive interior, consecutive exterior angles? Looking at this by inspection, you should say, pause the video and see if you can make out what this is. This is, in fact, alternate interior, I'm sorry, not alternate, consecutive interior angles. These are consecutive interior angles. So because these are consecutive interior angles, we can then say that these two angles that are highlighted in pink should be supplementary. So with that being said, we can say that 5x plus 20 plus 40 minus x will equal to 180. If I were to combine like terms, I know that 5x and negative x makes 4x. 20 and 40 makes 60. Therefore, this is equal to 180. So therefore, I can say by isolating x, I'm going to subtract both sides by 60. So we have 4x is equal to 120. Divide both sides by 4, x is equal to 30. We need to find all the different angle measures here, right? So if x is equal to 30, then I know that this angle over here is equal to 10. And this angle over here is equal to 170. This is not drawn to scale by any means. And then recognizing corresponding angles as well as alternate interior, alternate exterior, we can then easily fill in all of the missing angles that are present. This is 170, 10, and 170. All right, let's take a look at the next problem. So again, you're told that lines 1 and line 2 are parallel, and you're asked to find out what these angles are, what all the different angles are formed between the transversal and the pair of parallel lines. And again, let's take a look at these two angles here that are highlighted in pink. Pause the video for a moment, see if you can figure out what this is. So welcome back. These two angles, as you can see here, they are on the same side of the transversal. They happen to also be on the outside of the parallel line. So these are consecutive exterior angles. What do we know about consecutive exterior angles? So consecutive exterior angles are, once again, supplementary. So we recognize that this is going to be 3x plus 20 plus 10x minus 25. Minus 35, I meant. And this is equal to 180. So if I were to combine all the like terms here, I recognize that this is going to be 13x minus 15 is equal to 180. Add 15 to both sides, we end up with 13x is equal to 195. And then we got to divide both sides by 13. If we do that, we will end up with, what's the figure here? We'll end up with 15. If x is equal to 15, then what will all the angles here form between the transversal and parallel line? Well, it will turn into 55, because 3 times 15 is 45, plus 20 is not 55. Of course not. It's 65. 65, 115, 115, 65, 65, 115, 115, and 65. And there you have it.